Hey guys, I've tried some fancy websites, doesn't work. Tried a couple apps, don't work. So we're gonna do it this way. We're going to do a fraction review. Fractions are big in 5th grade, and y'all haven't seen enough of them, honestly. So this is what we're gonna do. So I'm going to show you some examples, and then I'm going to give you some examples to do on your own. So with our fraction review, let's talk about rules first. These are going to be some that you need to write down. You don't have your notebook with you that we copied and pasted your notes in. So for addition and subtraction of fractions, we have a few rules. The first one is to turn all mixed numbers into, see if I can move that up a little bit, y'all still see it, into improper fractions. Now, the way that I turn a mixed number into an improper fraction, say I have 6 1/2, is I multiply the whole number and the denominator. 2 times 6, which is 12, and I add the numerator, 13, and I keep the same denominator over 2. That is how we turn a mixed number into an improper fraction. Secondly, I need to find a common denominator. A common denominator, a number that both numbers will go into. Thirdly, I don't even know if that's a word, but thirdly, I need to do same to the numerator as I do to the denominator. Fourth, I need to add or subtract. And lastly, I need to simplify. So now would be a great time to pause the video to write down your rules if you don't already have them. So let's do an example of adding and subtracting fractions. Let's say 6 1/2. There we go. Plus 7 1/3. Now, a lot of y'all like to take the lazy way out and do 6 plus 7 is 13 and then add the two fractions. But that's incorrect. Again, this is why we follow rules. The first thing I need to do is turn all improper fractions into, or all mixed numbers into improper fractions. So, 2 times 6 plus 1. 2 times 6 is 12 plus 1 is 13 over 2. Plus 3 times 7 plus 1. 3 times 7 is 21 plus 1 is 22 over 3. Now, my next step is to find a common denominator. The first number that they both have in common is 6. One way I can do this is I can say, here's 2, here's 3. It's called the least common multiple. Times 1 times 2 times 3. And I can say this is 2, 4, 6, 3, 6, 9. Oh, 3, 6, 9. The first number they have in common is 6. Let's get that over so you can see it. 2, 4, 6, 3, 6, 9. The first number they have in common is 6. So I know that my number here, my common denominator, is 6. Now, step 3 says do the same thing to the numerator as I do to the denominator. That means that 2 times 3 is 6. So I gotta do 13 times 3. Now, guys, don't try to do it in your head. Come over and do it on a scratch on the side or something. I'm going to do it over here. 13 times 3 It's 9. That's 3. So it's 39. 39. I'm going to bring the plus side down. 3 times 2. So I have to do 22 times 2. Again, if you struggle, 22 times 2. 2 is 4. 2 times 2 is 4. It's 44. Then, so I've done whatever I do to the denominator. I've also done to the numerator. So next I'm going to add. And again, I'm not going to second chance it, or I'm not going to guess it. I'm going to actually work it out. So I'm going to work out 44 plus 39. 9 plus 4 is 13. 3 plus 4 is 7, plus 1 is 8. 83 over 6. Now, I've added. But the denominator, of course, stays the same in adding and subtracting. Now I have to simplify. I simplify using long division. So I'm going to come over here now. I'm going to say 83, the numerator, divided by 6. 6 goes into 8 one time. Minus 6 is 2. Bring down the 3. 6 goes into 23 3 times. Minus 18 is 5. So, the 13 becomes the whole number in my answer. The 5 becomes the numerator. And the 6 becomes the denominator. So, or it stays the denominator. So my final answer is 13 and 5/6. Several of you should know how to do this. Now, I'm going to give you one. I want you to pause the video and solve it on your own. Alright? So I'm going to give you 3 1/5 minus, I changed it, 2 1/3. So pause the video and work it out. Okay, hopefully you worked it out. Hopefully. So let's go over it. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn all mixed numbers into improper fractions. So 5 times 3 is 15, plus 1 is 16 over 5, minus 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7 over 3. I'm going to do my little LCM chart here. And to see what's the first number they have in common. Which I know is 15, but if you don't know, you have to work it out. There it is right there. Alright, so I know my common denominator is 15. Whatever I do to the top, I must also do to the bottom. Times 3. 16 times 3. You should have worked it out. And you should have gotten 48. And then you should have done times 5. And 7 times 5. I'll go ahead and put the times 3 over here so you can see it. 7 times 5 is 35. That's a multiplication fact. Then you're going to subtract 48 minus 35. 8 minus 5 is 3. 4 minus 3 is 1. That's 13. So my final answer is 13 over 15. And that's the simplest form. It's not an improper fraction. So I am dunsies. I hope you got the right answer. So let's do one or two more, or we'll do one more of those, and then I'll give you some practice later to work out all on your own. Alright. Another one. Let's do an adding. 3 4/5 plus 5/8. Ooh, that's a fun one. Alright, so go ahead and pause the video, work it out. When you're done, press play, and I'll show you how to do it. So hopefully you've had some time to work it out. So let's get started. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 4 is 19. 19 over 5. Plus, that's 5/8. I don't have to do anything to it because it's not a mixed number. Now, common denominator here would be 40. So I'm going to use 40. You should have found that. Write down the plus sign. 5 times 8. So I got to work out 19 times 8. Oops. Times 8. I'll work it out over here on the side. 8 times 9 is 72. 8 times 1 is 8. Plus 7 is 15. I'm checking it in my head to make sure that's correct. Alright. 152 plus 8 times 5. So I gotta do 5 times 5, which is 25. Now again, I'm going to add just to make sure I don't screw anything up on paper. 52 plus 25. 7. Ooh, look. 77. So now I have 77 over 40. And I'm going to simplify using long division. So 77 goes in the box, divided by 40. Alright, you should have found out that, oh, I didn't multiply that right. That is actually 177. That's where I went wrong. Always check your work. It's 177. I knew something was off about that. 152. Alright, so, back to what I was doing. 40 goes into 177 4 times. Minus 160 is 17. So my answer is 4 wholes and 17 over 40. That should be what you got. Sorry about the confusion. Alright. If you have questions, feel free to message me individually. Sorry about the confusion on the mistake. Alright, next. Let's talk about multiplying fractions. These are my fave because all we have to do is, 1, turn mixed numbers into improper fractions. And then the nice thing is that we multiply across. And then we simplify. So I'll show you a quick one, and then I'm going to give you a practice problem. 5/6 times 1/3. None of these are improper or mixed numbers, so I don't have to change them to improper. So I'm going to do 5 times 1 is 5, and 6 times 3 is 18. And I don't have to simplify that, so I am donesies. So go ahead and take a second, write out your notes, and then I'm going to give you a practice problem. Go ahead and pause it if you need to at this time. Alright, let's work it out. Let's work out another one. So, 6 and 5/8 times 1 2/3. Now, a lot of y'all like to do 6 times 5, and then 5 times 2, and 8 times 3. But it's better to turn it into an improper fraction first. It's more legitimate, and it helps make sure the answer is correct every time. 8 times 6 is 48, plus 5 is 53. Over 8 times 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 is 5 over 3. Now, they're all improper, so I'm going to multiply. 53 times 5. I'm going to be careful not to make a mistake like I did on the last one. 5 times 3 is 15. 5 times 5 is 25, plus 1 is 26. So I got 265 over 8 times 3, which is 24. I'm going to simplify using long division. 265 divided by 24. 4 goes into 26 one time. Minus 24 is 2. Bring down the 5. 24 goes into 25 one time. Minus 24 is 1. So my answer is 11 wholes and 1/24. So that is that problem. I multiplying fractions. They're the simplest, I feel like, in my opinion. Maybe not yours. Alright, let's do another. I'm going to give you a hard one. 13 and 1/4. By hard, I just mean bigger numbers. 13 and 1/4 times 7 and 2/3. Alright, take a second. I want you to work it out, and then press play, and we'll go over it. Alright, let's go over it. 13 times 4. I need to work that out just to make sure I don't mess up. 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5. That's 52. Plus 1 is 53 over 4. Times 7 times 3 is 21. Plus 2 is 23. 23 over 3. Now, from here, I multiply straight across. But these are big numbers up here. So, again, work it out. I will preach that forever because y'all got to work it out. 53 times 23. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 5 is 15. Now, I'm going to the tens place, so that's why I add the 0 there, in case you were ever wondering. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 5 is 10. And then I add 9, 11, 2, 1. Well, that's a big number. 1,219 over 4 times 3 is 12. Big number over little number, which means I have to divide because I need to simplify, and I do that using long division. 1,219 divided by 12. 12 goes into 12 one whole time. Minus 12 is 0. Bring down the 1. Okay. Can 12 go into 1? No. So I have to put a 0 up here. Minus 0 is 1. Bring down the 9. 12 goes into 19 one time. Sounds a little weird, but it's 19. One time. Minus 12 is 7. So my answer is 101 wholes and 7/12. I hope you got that right. If you did, great job. You get a smiley face. There's your smiley face, since I can't put it on your paper for you. Alright. Now, I'll give you a little bit more practice at the end. We are going over dividing fractions. So, on dividing fractions, you are going to, first of all, turn all mixed numbers into improper fractions. Into improper fractions, like always. Then you are going to find the reciprocal. Now, the way we find the reciprocal is by flipping the second fraction. Thirdly, we multiply. We actually change the symbol to a multiplication symbol. And then fourth, we're going to simplify. Go ahead and write those down.